Hey guys, welcome back to Dem Guys podcast, the podcast where we will record in a basement, in a closet, or anywhere else we can find that has an electrical outlet.
Or one nearby.
Indeed.
As usual, on the podcast, we have myself, Drew.
I'm Slash.
And I'm Snowshoe.
Woo!
Yeah.
This is apparently obligatory that we do that
Yeah.
at this point. But this is the PAX edition.
Yes, post-PAX podcast.
The post-PAX podcast. I need to invest in a pop filter.
Actually, doesn't the blue snowball have one built in? It may.
Oh, it might, yeah.
It didn't sound very poppy to me, but anyway.
Fantastic.
Didn't we know that this was going to be post-PAX previously?
We did, yes.
Okay, so we knew you guys were going to
Potentially.
be back already.
Yep.
Potentially post-PAX previously. Okay. Understood.
Wow. But anyway, yeah, we're going to be talking about PAX East a lot. Drew and I were at PAX East. Snowshoe was not because he's a loser.
Hey.
But but we'll be talking about that quite a bit here very shortly. But first, I'm going to take an opportunity here to remind you guys of the podcast email address in case you come up with any questions for us while you're listening. And that's demguyspodcast
DemGuyspodcast
@gmail.com.
Yeah.
So we're going to briefly talk about our games a little bit, and then we'll get right into the PAX recap. So, Drew,
Okay.
lead us off.
I played Minecraft, and that was working on something which is not out yet because it may or may not need to be discovered first. Yeah.
I may or may not have also been involved in this activity.
Correct.
What? I'm still very confused about what we were talking about last time because I couldn't find anything.
Okay? We'll digress real quickly for this. Snowshoe, the April Fool's thing had nothing to do with you.
Oh, it didn't?
We were not pranking you. And for those of you who didn't notice, maybe if you haven't seen our videos, but Drew and I decided that for April Fool's Day, we would record an episode of each other's series
Which
and
is
upload
fantastic.
it to the other person's channel. So that was our whole April Fool's Day thing.
Okay, I thought there was something in addition to those. I will say that Slash does the best Drew impression I have ever heard or seen.
Oh, I totally agree.
I was going to say, I got Drew's seal of approval too whenever he was listening to it.
How did you do that? Did he say things first and then you just took what he said and reset it? Or did you make all that up off the top of your head?
That was all me, man.
That's ridiculous.
That was me. That was Slash Plays Drewson of the 43.
Wow.
He did watch my version of his first before he even recorded his. So
This
there
is
was
true.
at least one line that he stole. It was the "sorry if my voice sounds weird" bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in terms of, trying to come up with stuff like Drew and talking like Drew and whatnot, yeah, I will take full credit for that, because I am rather proud of my acting ability in that episode.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that you had Drew go record an episode and then you were watching it as you were saying it or something. That was insane.
Well, thank you very much. I will say, though, that my favorite thing about the whole April Fool's Day experience was a comment that was made on my video.
Which is the one that Drew
to
recorded.
say Drew's video that he put on my channel, where he made a quote-unquote diamond farm, where he made a redstone, set up a redstone clock and had pistons pounding away at a coal block, and then later came back to it and was like, look, it's a diamond block now. I got a comment on that video from somebody who was like, that's kind of cheating. I'm pretty sure that's not a feature, that's a bug. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
The best part was he called it a big, not a bug. He hit the wrong key.
Oh, that's right. He said it's a big. Yeah. So that was great.
Oh,
but, yeah, he did not check the date.
I mean, how are you on the internet and not aware of April Fools? Like,
I
every
know, right?
single thing that happened that day was April Fools related.
Yep. Drew, you played some Elder Scrolls Online, correct?
Yes, have not played very much yet because I kind of activated my account and then I'm like, hey, it's time to go to PAX. But I played for a few hours and I got farther than I did when I originally played the beta, and I am really excited about this game.
Drew said he was going to record it for his channel, but his laptop started to melt whenever he turned on Fraps. So
Yeah, Fraps and Elder Scrolls Online do not run well together on my computer. I'm honestly not surprised. I even had Munchmo is doing a series on the game, and he was giving me some tips on trying to get it to work. But it's really, my laptop's just not meant to do it, and it's kind of a miracle that it can even run Elder Scrolls Online. So I'll take it.
It's doing the best it can. Okay.
Yep.
I'm doing the best I can.
And then finally, this was actually at PAX. I got a chance to play Titanfall on the Xbox One, and that was really, really, really fun.
Okay, since we'll get into a little bit of PAX, I guess. Since you got a chance to feel the Xbox One controllers, I haven't felt one, but I've been told they're like amazing. Is this true?
I didn't think about it too much because I was, we were in a hurry to get to a panel, and I was at the front of the line. I'm like, okay, I've got to play my game, and then I've got to go. And then I just got really into the game, so I didn't think about it too much. But there was nothing that felt wrong about it. It felt very good.
Between all of the comparisons between Xbox One and PS4, I've been most excited about hearing about the Xbox One controller because everybody's so enthralled with it.
Yeah, like I didn't specifically stop and think about the differences between that and the 360 controller, but it did feel really good. So,
well, good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so those were my games that I played. I really didn't have a whole lot of time for video games. So,
all right, well, we'll swing around to me. I played some Minecraft as well. I already mentioned that I may have aided Drew in some shenanigans at some point, so hopefully you'll see that soon on our various channels. I've also played some Attack of the B Team. I think I might have both episodes of that Yeah, I know that at least one episode is up. I'm not sure if the second one ended up going up yet or not. But that's been a lot of fun. I'm making some progress towards the whole space base concept.
Yeah.
So, really enjoying that. Kerbal Space Program. The first 2 parts now of a multi-part saga of me trying to get a manned mission to Duna and back has begun on my channel, and that was a lot of fun. I did a binge recording session till like 2 a.m. working on that particular goal, and it ended up splitting up to like 5 or 6 episodes. So,
can you actually do that? Does your voice not give out?
I can manage it. Yeah, I mean the thing is, I spent a lot of time working on it in Kerbal Space Program, but there are some portions of that where you're literally just waiting for, even if you've got the fast forward set on the fastest, when you're doing interplanetary travel, that takes a little while. You're just sitting there for whole minutes just waiting for the alignments to happen. Or with I was using nuclear engines, which have great fuel efficiency, but they don't have great thrust as a result. So, any time I would make an adjustment burn, it would be like a 4-minute burn, and I'm not going to sit and try and talk through all 4 minutes of that burn just to make, to fill airspace in a video. Yeah. So KSP has a lot of cuts that are involved. Mm-hmm. And so going super late trying to record KSP doesn't necessarily mean that there's that much in terms of time in the episodes.
Yeah, like I can record late and I can stay up all night if I need to, but once it hits like midnight, I can no longer talk because my voice just goes away. It's amazing. So yeah, I can get episodes ready, but I can never actually record that late. Kind of sucks.
I also played some Starbound. I defeated that bone dragon on my second attempt.
Finally.
I mentioned, I think the last time that it was, it caused me some problems.
Yeah, didn't you you lost stuff, right? Or
I didn't lose stuff. I mean, you lose, the character that I created was created in the earlier version of Starbound before they had 3 different death options. I think now there's like an easy mode death where when you die, you just respawn back at your spaceship, and you don't suffer any penalty. And then the normal mode is what the game originally shipped with, which was when you die, you keep all your inventory, but you lose a percentage of the pixels, the currency that you have, so like kind of experience in a way as well. And then they have a hard mode option where you actually lose all your pixels and all your inventory. It's sort of Minecraft-esque, and I think if you make your way back to your death point, you can try and pick that stuff back up, but it all drops on the ground.
Right.
So I'm still playing in that middle setting. So I did lose some pixels, but I didn't have to worry about losing any of my inventory when I died the first time. But I did have to grind away at getting the necessary ores and materials together to craft a new damsel, or it's like princess in distress or damsel in distress or decoy princess, I think is what it is. That you make that's what summons the dragon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I thought you had to redo something like that.
I had to remake that because that got consumed when I summoned the dragon, and then I didn't have the resources to build another one. So that was a bit of a pain, and now there's going to be another gap probably till the next Starbound episode because I have to do some grindy work in the new sector to proceed in the game's storyline. So maybe if I run into new stuff like new structures I haven't seen or whatever, that might make it into an episode. But otherwise, a lot of stuff's going to happen off camera with that. And then Westnoth, I think both episodes that I've recorded of that are out. I finished the first of the 13 scenarios, and I haven't gotten a chance to record since then. So there'll probably be a gap till that goes too. But I did finish up the first scenario in the Northern Rebirth campaign.
I really need to watch those.
Yes, you do.
I have a lot of videos to watch since I came back from PAX, but still not nearly as many as you. So
nope, not as many as me. Without going through and whittling it down, I'm over 100 again. So
oh no,
yeah, it'll take me a while. I figure maybe by June or July I might be caught up on my channels that I follow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So what have I played? I played a little bit of Minecraft, not very much on the VBFS. I haven't recorded an episode on there in forever. But mostly been playing Ether 1. And that's really just about me editing and uploading the videos. I've gotten 3 episodes in so far. It's really, really good. I have 2 more on the way. But kind of like you said, it's a lot of editing that goes on in that because there's a lot of exploring and it's a kind of a point and click type deal. And so I'll pick up every little can of tomatoes along the way and look at it and make sure there's nothing wrong with it. And after a while, you lose kind of your ideas of what to say about cans of tomatoes. So you're like, another can of tomatoes and another shoe and another... and I'm just like editing out all of this.
Still not be like significant.
Right.
So,
yeah, but there's a lot of really cool stuff that goes on there, and I think I've just finished solving the final puzzle in the first area. So then I can progress with the storyline, and that will be pretty cool. I'm excited to get those uploaded. And then I think is that all I played? That's all I played, guys.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Minecraft for fun. My own single player world, but that's just completely random. But I will say, I think I started that before the last podcast. I will say that Minecraft now, when you load a new world, I hadn't done it in forever, just a completely survival world. It looks amazing. Like the new biomes and like the extreme hills mixed with the forests and everything. Like there's a noticeable difference. It looks really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I've messed around a little bit off camera as well, and yeah, they're doing good work. Let's move right along into PAX. PAX. Woo! PAX East was a lot of fun. This was my 3rd PAX East. This is the first one that Drew went to.
Yes.
And is it ESO Eric? Is that how you pronounce his handle?
Yes.
Or is it ESO Eric? ESO Eric? Okay.
Yes. I almost said
Drew's.
ESO, but then I realized that's Elder Scrolls Online.
But that's a friend of Drew's that I met through him, and the 3 of us went up to PAX East.
He's on the server, too.
He's also on the server, that's true. But the 3 of us went up to PAX East, and it was, once again, a fantastic experience. That I'm just blown away by how well PAX is run and put together, and the community that surrounds that. Is just fantastic. One of the things that they put up, there's this big electronic sort of, vertically oriented bulletin board that's right outside the front entrance. And they flash different things up there. And one of the things they put up there is, for the PAX logo, is the slogan, "Welcome Home." And it really does feel that way whenever you get there, because it's, you're in among your people. Everybody is like-minded. They're all into gaming, whether it be video gaming or tabletop gaming or whatever it might be. They're all into just the gaming culture and the concerns or discussions, etc., that stem off of that.
My favorite part of PAX was just talking to people. Yeah,
definitely. And even like running into people, like we ran into some folks on the way home that were like, they saw that I had my PAX East t-shirt on, and they're like, "Oh, so we were at PAX too. How'd you like it?" Just breaking into random conversation with folks that, that they're a kindred spirit. Then you can talk about this stuff and you won't get weird looks like you get from the normal people.
Yeah. We had a whole conversation about D&D in McDonald's, and I wonder how many people standing in line around us were just like, what in the world are they saying?
Virtually scratching their heads. Yeah. But hey, before we get too far into it, just in case any of our listeners are not familiar with PAX, PAX stands for Penny Arcade Expo. and it's from the creators of the comic Penny Arcade. It's at penny-arcade.com. Jerry Holkins, Mike Rulik are the creative talent there, but they ended up spawning a whole company based off of this comic, and one of the things they spawned out of this, and you're probably familiar with Child's Play charity. We've talked about this before on the podcast, and that came out of Penny Arcade. And Penny Arcade Expo was another thing that came out of there, where they had sort of looked around and said, a lot of these other gaming conventions seem to be more vendor-oriented than gamer-oriented, and we'd like to create something that is the latter. And Penny Arcade Expo is that. They started it in Seattle. That's what the PAX they have out there is called PAX Prime. And then about 10 years ago, I guess this was the 10th anniversary, I think, of PAX East. So they started, or was it of PAX in general? Now I might have to go look that up.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know it was the 10th anniversary, but
I think it's the 10th anniversary of PAX in general, because for some reason I want to say that PAX East started in like 07 or maybe even 09. I'm going to try and check here real quick while I talk. But, yep, that worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah. Well, now they've actually, they recently added PAX Australia. I think there's only been one of those, maybe?
Yeah, I think you're correct. Okay, so here we go. PAX started in 2004. So it was the 10th anniversary of PAX in general.
Okay.
And then it wasn't until 2010 that they started PAX East.
Wow.
And that was at a different convention center. They actually had to move it to where it is now the next year because it was such a huge turnout for PAX East. And they also have PAX Dev, which is for the game developer community, which is just a smaller gathering. And then, they started up PAX Australia, which started in 2013, so last year, and that was held in a weekend in July in Melbourne. And they're having another PAX in Australia this year in the late October timeframe, from what I'm reading.
And then they just announced PAX South.
Yes, they did. PAX South in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Starting up January 23rd, 2015 is apparently the start day for that PAX weekend.
I could be wrong about this, but from what I read, I'm pretty sure they said that's it. They're not expanding anymore. This is the last PAX. Yeah,
I would think so. I mean, my gosh, when it was just 2 PAXs, they spaced them 6 months apart because it was such a huge thing that they did to get a PAX organized and off the ground and running.
Yeah, but you hire more PAX, people and you get more money from them, so it's economical if they can do more.
Yeah, I mean, it's just mentally exhausting for the people involved, I think. Because I know that they actually go on like a week-long company retreat afterwards to unwind.
That'd be awesome.
From the craziness of PAX. Now, I think, because we were talking about this, Drew and I guess earlier today, that I think that there's actually more individuals involved than there used to be. I think they have a company that they contract out to now, whereas they used to try to organize a lot of it themselves. So I think they've established a business relationship that lessens some of the burden on the PAX employees themselves for that. But I don't know for sure if that's the case. That's that's my understanding, but I haven't interviewed anybody from Penny Arcade to confirm.
Yeah, of course they have all the volunteers and stuff.
Right. And the enforcers are amazing. I mean, they're just fantastic people. But this particular PAX was noteworthy in that the Mindcrack group had their own panel on Saturday morning. Mindcrackers had attended PAX East in the past. A bunch of them were there last year, but they didn't have their own panel devoted to Mindcrack. There were a couple of panels some of the members sat in on. I think there's a panel for the Shaft podcast last year, and Good and Generic sat in on that one. And then Generic was in on something. Well, Good was in on something for house rules, and I think Generic might have been in on that, or I forget exactly what it was. But they didn't have their own panel. They were just panelists for some other topic. But this year they had their own panel. It was the Mindcrack group, and it was a large collection of them. It was Good, it was BTC, it was Pause, it was Nebris, Jay Sano, who else? Badge, right?
Zisto.
Zisto. Am I missing anybody?
Seth Bling.
And Seth Bling. Yep, that was the collection. MC and Vintage Beef were both supposed to be there. They were on the original list, but Beef had something personal come up last minute that he said he wasn't going to be able to make it, and I don't remember what MC's reason.
MC had announced like a month before that he wasn't going to be able to go.
And so his plans changed as well, but it was very cool. And so they had a panel Saturday morning that Drew and I attended. And it was a lot of fun. It was neat seeing them in person, but it was more fun. We got a chance to actually talk to them more at a kind of sort of meetup. They didn't really call it a meetup. They were just like, we're going to be at a certain place at a certain time. And, and we stalked them there, basically. But there was a Feed the Beast tournament then that evening in the PC area.
Yeah, I didn't get to see how that went. What exactly did that consist of?
It was very similar to the last Feed the Beast map where it was, you completed objective, like the initial objective of the original map was basically similar to Skyblock. You had to get a cobblestone generator going and you had to build out to a place. And then eventually you got into the actual pyramid itself and you had to meet certain requirements to continue.
Right.
This one was the same sort of genre where you had to meet certain requirements. So there was the map was different, though. You started out near a fountain or a pool or something in the center of the map, and you had to throw something into the pool, and when you did that, it caused a bunch of stuff to get dumped into a crystal chest, that were materials for moving on and solving the next goal or whatever. So I didn't pay too much attention to it, to be honest, because it was, it wasn't the focus of my reason for being in the PC area.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of people were pretty hyped up about it, though. Like, I saw a ton of tweets about it before it was happening.
There was a good amount of people that participated, and I was really surprised at the age range. I mean, there were kids that were probably single-digit age that were participating in this tournament, and it was very interesting to see because I've heard that modded Minecraft is more popular for the younger kids than vanilla is. And I guess Feed the Beast sort of, is the epitome of modded Minecraft for a lot of folks. Yeah. So the younger kids have been into that more. So I don't know how well any of them did, but I know that fun times were had. And while that was going on, we got a chance. We were talking to some of the Minecrackers, Pause, and I got to talk to Zisto a little bit about Kerbal Space Program and got pictures with him. Drew got some autographs on a Think Geek.
Yeah, I got a foam diamond sword and got it signed by all but Good. Good was not able to make it.
Yeah, he had something going on that he wasn't able to make it to the meetup that he announced.
I think he was setting up the party at the crack house, as they call it.
Yeah, probably. Something along those lines.
A couple of things I wanted to note about that kind of meetup thing. First of all, we thought that there were a lot more people for the FTB tournament than there actually was, because right before the tournament, people from Intel came over and they had like a whole giveaway thing. And it was like, as soon as they were done having that giveaway, more than half the crowd left. Like,
yeah.
Nice.
We were like, man, Feed the Beast is really popular.
Either that or the Minecrackers are bringing all these people. But no, it really wasn't that at all.
It was people wanting free stuff.
Yeah, that's usually how that works.
Yeah, exactly. We should have suspected.
But I got to, besides the Minecrackers who were there, I got signatures from several other notable people that are kind of related to the Minecraft community. And that is, I had Captain Sparkles, Aurelian,
Blue Bayou,
and Fedrin.
Fedrin.
And then, I don't know if you guys know who this is, but Mike the Guy in the Hat was there, and I saw him and recognized him, so I asked for his signature as well, which, he was MC Gamer's roommate at one point, and he participated in
Zelda-thon
and stuff.
I know who that is. He's in all the Zelda-thons, right?
Yeah.
He's the husband of Liz.
No.
Is that right? No.
No, that's Andy.
Who also wears a hat.
A lot of them wear hats. But
you can understand my confusion.
Mike the Guy in the Hat literally never takes his hat off.
I'd probably know him if I saw him.
It's steepled into his skull.
Wow. That's gross.
They have
That's commitment, is what that is.
They have said that if the world sees him without his hat, like, everything will just explode.
Oh, no.
That's one of the signs of the apocalypse.
Yeah. Mike the Guy without the hat.
Yeah. He's one of the 7 horsemen of the apocalypse, yeah. Or the 4 horsemen, not 7 horsemen.
That's alright. 4 or 7.
Yeah,
Really, you start
numbers.
seeing any number of horsemen of the apocalypse, and it's time to start getting worried.
Right, yeah.
That's the point that we're trying to make here.
That's my life motto.
So, Snow, did you have any questions you wanted to ask us about PAX specifically?
So I watched quite a bit of it on Twitch, right? Because they had the 2 Twitch channels going on with the PAX and the PAX, I guess 2 was the other one, where they had the different rooms going on. My favorite thing I saw all weekend was the Acquisitions Incorporated deal, and I know you guys went to that.
Yes.
That was a ton of fun.
Was it not freaking awesome?
It was absolutely amazing. And I don't know, did they, on the stream, did they show the little pre-show animation that summed up what they did last season, quote unquote?
I'm sure they did. I saw it anyway, but I didn't get there early enough to watch the beginning of it.
That was absolutely hysterical. The way that they did that was just gut-bustingly funny.
So is this the first time you'd seen it, Slash, or do you see it every year?
This was the first time that Acquisitions Incorporated has performed live at PAX East. They've done live performances at PAX Prime in Seattle previously, but this was the first time that they came out to PAX East. And actually, I have a friend of mine that was to the 2 PAX Easts previous to this one and decided that he wasn't going to try to go to this one. And then it was announced that Acquisitions Incorporated was on the schedule, and he was like ticked off. Man, he was so mad that he missed out on it.
So you knew about them previous and everything? I mean, I'm sure they're a big deal in the D&D community.
Yeah, I was familiar with Acquisitions Incorporated. I actually saw or listened to their initial adventure shortly after it came out, like as it was being released as an audio podcast from Wizard's website.
I listened to quite a bit of it today, actually, because it's like, man, yesterday was the live stream they did was so amazing. And so I went back and I had a lot of driving to do, so I listened to quite a bit of it.
They've really ramped it up as time has gone on, because initially it was just Mike, Jerry, and Scott, right? And the 3 of them got together with Chris Perkins to go through an abridged version of Keep on the Shadowfell, which was the initial levels 1 to 3 adventure for 4th edition.
Okay.
And it was shortly after 4th edition came out, or just in advance of it being released. So it was sort of a promotional thing that they were playing 4th edition, and sort of highlighting these things. And then the next podcast that they did was similar, that's the one where they brought in Will Wheaton, as an Acquisitions Incorporated intern. And he was playing an Avenger, which was a new class in the second player's handbook. So that was also sort of a promotional thing. And people were just absolutely loving it. And it evolved into this big thing where they started doing it on video, and they did live things at PAX Prime, where they were actually in costume. They came out at PAX Prime and Mike is wearing wizard's robes and Scott's got a big horned helm on. Yeah, and they were just having a ton of fun with it.
But it's so good.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, right after I first started playing D&D, I kind of wanted to just look some stuff up about it. And so I went to YouTube and just searched D&D. And the first thing that came up was D&D played live at PAX Prime. And I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and watch this and see what it's like. And I didn't know it was going to be this big show. I figured it was just some random guys playing D&D.
Yeah.
And I watched this and I obviously recognized Will Wheaton and I absolutely loved it. And it's just total chance that I even found that.
Right.
And so when Slash told me that's who this is, they're going to be here, I was like, oh, that's so exciting. I can't wait to see him. So
plus they had Morgan Webb as a special guest.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. We did not get a chance to get a picture.
That's all right.
We
I figured you wouldn't.
so.
I'm sure she had the gigantic line if she was giving out pictures.
Yeah, and we needed to get going because the panel ran a little late anyway, and we had a 6-hour drive just to drop Eric off, and then another hour and a half after that to my house. So we didn't get back to my place until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez.
And,
yeah, I figured as much.
And that was leaving as fast as we possibly could.
Yeah.
So it was we were motivated to try and get home.
But I will say, Acquisition Incorporated, it's a really good gateway for people who don't know anything about D&D to kind of get into it. Because I knew literally nothing. I knew that you guys had 20-sided dice, and that's about it. But just after a couple of watching of the videos and the podcasts and everything, you learn a whole lot about it, and it's hilarious. So
And what's great is that the kind of interactions that they have during an Acquisitions Incorporated game is very much the kind of interactions you can expect to have when you get a bunch of your friends together to play D&D. Like, it just, this naturally comes out from people that are good friends with each other and like to rib off of each other when they put themselves into the fantasy scenario.
Right.
Just hilarity occurs.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of see them as the Minecraft of D&D.
Yeah.
Where it's like a lot of people aspire to be that way.
There's a guy in my group, that, he plays, in one group he plays a cleric, and we have two groups. One I'm a player, and one I actually run the game as the DM. And in the one group he's a cleric, but in the other one he's sort of like a divine magician called an invoker. And he's very Jim Dark Magic-esque in his personality. And I thought of him with the ones, I call it a scene, like it's pre-written, but it's not. But the one occasion during the adventure, they're trying to drive around this massive robot statue.
The robot thing,
right? And at one point, and it's dark, and Mike Krahulik says, the gem in the hand that I'm controlling lights up, right? And Chris Perkins goes, it also fires a beam of destructive energy. And Mike goes, which illuminates the area around. And that's exactly the sort of stuff that goes, it's like, okay, yeah, well, look, we've got a mission to carry out, and I don't care about the NPCs that might get in our way.
Right.
That is a very common attitude around the table in D&D.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was absolutely amazing. I was a little disappointed that they didn't manage to actually finish the adventure. They came face to face with the biggest of the two green dragons right at the end of the panel, and it was like basically to be continued.
Yeah, it kind of sucked the way they ended it. It was kind of unprofessional too, because they literally had a guy walk up and be like, "Hey, you got to end now."
Right.
And he was like, "What? We have to end now?" Okay. And then he finished in like 2 minutes.
Yeah,
like,
unfortunately.
This kinda
Well, I
sucks.
mean, he said he thought they had another 15, so...
Yeah, he thought it went till 4. There was a miscommunication there that it actually only was supposed to go to 3:30. But they were, I think, already intending to record more for, I'm assuming, a Wizards of the Coast podcast.
Yeah, I'm honestly not... I'm honestly not surprised that it ended with a to be continued type thing, because when I watched the YouTube video before, they were coming in from like one of the Will Wheaton's character had just died, and so they were going to try and rescue him.
Right.
And then I don't think it had a solid ending. I think it was still a to be continued moment. So honestly, I wasn't surprised at all.
Right, but they to be continued it on the podcast, right?
No, they didn't actually say to be continued on
Right, but they continue the story throughout the podcast and then pick it back up on the live games, or
they play it like D&D, which
Yeah.
is to say that when they get together and they play a session, they play until they run out of time, and then
Right.
the next time they get together, they continue that story, and if they come to a conclusion, then, they'll try and start up anew, like from a, tying in from the last time they got together, but it's still basically a new adventure, and it's very much like a D&D session goes at the table. So it's not, as much as it is performance art as well, I mean, they're essentially just playing D&D. And
right, I mean,
what
on
happens,
stage
happens,
is pretty much
so.
improv, the way
Yeah,
they do
exactly.
it. It's very, very good. Very well
Yeah.
done.
So, and I was actually surprised at how much they tried to cram into a 2-hour window.
I mean, it seemed like it kept going forever. I didn't want it to end, but it was like, it just kept going. I was like, this is awesome.
It was action-packed, yeah.
And Chris Perkins is so good.
Yeah, and we actually saw him in a panel, Eric and I did, in a panel on Friday, where he was discussing Dragons of Tyranny. The Acquisitions Incorporated adventure was called Dragons Over Easy.
Right.
Dragons of Tyranny is the actual adventure that what they played on Sunday was based off of. And that's actually going to be the launch adventure for the next edition of D&D. What people have been referring to as D&D Next or D&D 5th edition.
So
it's the next rule set, and it's going to be the first adventure module that comes out for that rule set.
So I don't know very much about it, but is it like a regular video game where everybody plays the same story, it's just unfolded in a different way? Or how does that happen?
No.
With an adventure module you're talking about?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, essentially the adventure modules just outlines the details of the background for the story.
Right, and then it's up to the DM to kind of fill out the blanks,
exactly.
right?
It's like here are the characters you'll be playing as the DM. Here's their motivations and some background information on them so that you can try to portray their personality as accurately as you can.
Right.
Here's the setting. here are some of the noteworthy locations in this town or this region that the PCs might end up going to or will have to find their way to discover certain information about the adventure and whatever. But that's all that's there. And it'll have stuff like if they talk to this particular PC and they ask these questions, these are the ways these particular NPC, this is the way this NPC will answer.
Right.
So it has all of that outlined in there, but it's otherwise pretty open book. Like, the PCs will end up doing whatever they end up doing, and it's up to the DM to try to react and, make adjustments possibly to the story to account for how they've gone off the rails. If they go out searching somewhere that has absolutely nothing to do with the adventure module as written, then it's up to the DM to properly either relocate something. Maybe it was supposed to happen in an inn at town, but maybe instead they overhear it at a camp on the way out of town. And they realize, we need to turn around because we've heard this information and we need to go back and investigate.
Yeah.
We thought we didn't need to be in town or whatever. And so that's, you can judge the quality of DM you have by how well they manage to keep the story going.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that as a limiting factor. Like, watching that, it just blew me away how good Chris Perkins was at making up stuff on the spot. And
he is the best. There is no DM, I think, that is higher quality than him in terms of making sure that the players have a good time and that the story continues. He may not necessarily, despite the fact he works for Wizards of the Coast, he may not necessarily get all of the details of various powers right. He might not necessarily remember, the most intricate details of, things that have come up in the adventure so far, but he will make sure the story keeps going and that the players have fun, and that's really what the DM's job is. Yeah. So me and my friend J.R. Beers actually is also a DM. He DMs the campaign that I am a player in, and the both of us aspire to be as much like Chris Perkins as we can when we're behind the screen.
Right.
The expo hall is probably another thing that's worth talking about with PAX. It is just absolutely mad. It's madness. Yes. It is madness incarnate in the expo hall. And various places had booths set up. Blizzard was there. And there were booths set up for like Borderlands. Twitch was there. Twitch had a section.
What do you, I've been wondering this. What do you do at the Twitch booth besides talk to people?
That's pretty much all we did, was talk to people.
Twitch doesn't really have anything to showcase, do they?
They weren't really showcasing anything in particular. They were short of showcasing themselves, like, here's what Twitch does, and here's some of the cool things that have happened because of Twitch providing the framework for it.
Right, which but they almost everybody already knows that goes to PAX East, I would think.
Possibly, but not necessarily.
Yeah, there's quite a few people who were... Well, and I think there are also people who are coming there and looking like, I want to do this for a living, how can I get a Twitch partnership and stuff like that.
Right.
And they had, it looked like a booth thing, like off to the side, like a closed room that they were actually like taking people back into and sort of interviewing almost.
And brainwashing and letting them back out to the public to do their bidding.
I mean, you could right. see into the room. It was just like a table and a couple of chairs, but
yeah.
But they also, in addition to sort of showcasing themselves a little bit, I mean, they had a place set up as a lounge where they were doing interviews and they were broadcasting, conversations with folks in the industry. So they were also serving the role of news anchor, so to speak, and providing coverage of PAX. Okay. And they were using their booth at PAX as a headquarters, a center of operations for that activity. But yeah, they also had stuff for, like I said, for Borderlands was there. They had Magic the Gathering had a big booth that was apparently dedicated to next year's Magic offerings, especially like Magic the Gathering video game, like online component. Rooster Teeth was there. Drew can talk about Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of my favorite things from the show floor. First of all, I did not get a chance to see the Borderlands stuff, but I really wish I had. They were actually previewing the Borderlands, it's called Borderlands pre-sequel or something, and it's...
Yeah, that's it.
Pre-sequel? What the heck?
The pre-sequel.
It goes before the other Borderlands games, I guess.
So it's like 1.5.
But yeah, you could go into like a theater thing that they had and preview it. But the line for that was really long, and we were planning on going to that on the third day, but we didn't have time. So, yeah, so Borderlands was there. There were some really cool looking games that I'm looking forward to playing in the future, or checking them out more anyway. One of the ones that I've never heard of that looked really cool was called Lichdom Battle Mage, and it had a very Skyrim look to it. But I mean, basically you were in a first person view, and you were like a sorcerer or a battle mage, I guess. And you were just like fighting through armies of undead. It looked pretty cool.
Indeed, yeah.
Then there was also, there was an Xbox One section where it was just, you could try out a bunch of different Xbox One games. As I said, I tried out Titanfall. There was a huge League of Legends thing where they had tournaments going on and stuff.
Yeah, including they had a cosplay competition and with a parade where they were parading people in League of Legends cosplay throughout the expo hall. And that turned out a lot of people. It was amazing how much cosplay was going on this year. Because you usually get quite a bit, but I think the League of Legends cosplay competition, or whatever exactly it was, I think that really boosted the number. It seemed like half of the people there were in costume.
Yeah. Some of the other stuff I really liked, so there was also some people that more, rather than showing stuff off, it was more like they were just there to see people and to sell merch and stuff. And so Rooster Teeth was there, and they had one of the biggest lines throughout the entire event. And I managed to get over there, and I got some pictures with some of the people from Rooster Teeth, and I bought a few t-shirts.
But yeah, that line, I think, when it was capped, when it was full, it was like a 2-hour wait or something like that. Does that sound right, Drew?
See, I never actually went through it when it was full.
Right.
I managed to, at one point, the line was really huge, and then a bunch of them actually said, hey, we're gonna go over here, and we're gonna be playing one of these games that are on display, which the game was Evolve. That one looked cool, too. Mm-hmm. But they said, we're gonna be playing this, and, like, we're gonna be sort of showcasing it on our channel, and so if you want to come with us, we'll sign stuff on our way over there. So, like, half the crowd left, and so that's when I managed to get in and buy stuff, but I still had, like, a half-hour wait, so.
Right. Yeah, it was pretty insane, and almost every time you went by the Rooster Teeth area, it was like, sorry, the line's capped. You can't even get in line, it's too long.
Yeah. Think Geek had a booth. They had some pretty interesting stuff. One of the things that was sold out, which I wanted to buy, was they had, like, a portal gun that you could actually put on your arm.
What? Like a real-life working portal gun?
Yes, it actually opened portals.
That's amazing!
And it was like $30. It was amazing.
$29.99.
What a deal. 5
easy payments.
So that's where I got the diamond sword that I then got signed by a bunch of the Minecrackers.
Yeah, they had a lot of Minecraft related stuff because they had the diamond sword, a diamond pick. You could get the light up Minecraft torch, which I got for my son. He was very pleased to get that.
Yes.
But yeah, it was
there was
crazy.
also one of my favorite places was there was some place I don't remember the exact name of it, but it was like the Mustache Emporium.
Right, yeah.
And you could just buy, like, all sorts of crazy fake mustaches. There was a whole section that just had, which I've seen these at other game stores and stuff, but there was a whole section that just had tons of D&D, well, not specifically D&D, but dice for games like D&D, so like D20s, D10s, D12s, whatever, you name it. All different crazy colors, and it was really cool. Actually, that reminds me, one of the, I don't remember which guys are which. I know their character names, but I don't know the actual names. But Omen from the Acquisitions Incorporated.
Jerry Holkins. Yeah, that's Jerry Holkins.
Okay, yeah. He actually had the dice that he was playing with were, he said they were given to him by a soldier who carved them by hand from lapis lazuli.
Yeah, I remember he said that. That's crazy.
I thought that was really awesome.
That was very, very cool. They looked amazing too.
Yeah. So And then Bethesda had a giant booth, and I just looked up and watched the Elder Scrolls Online launch trailer because they had a massive screen showing that off, and that was pretty cool. Ubisoft had some cool stuff. They showed off Watch Dogs. Unfortunately, you couldn't actually play it there.
Surprise. Who'd have thunk?
But I think you could last year, but they had a demonstration that you could watch, and they just sort of talked about what was going on.
Did they happen to say when it was going to be released?
The release has been announced for May or June, I think.
Really?
Yeah, pretty sure. If I remember
isn't that one of the games that they kept pushing back and it's just been a fiasco?
They pushed it back twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people are disappointed about what's going on with Watch Dogs, at least from what I've seen.
See, I know I was disappointed that they pushed it back, but I'm also, if they are really, refining the game and actually they decided it's not ready yet, we want to make it a really good game, I'm totally cool with that.
I'm totally cool with that, but you need to fit that into your original schedule. I mean, how many games has Bethesda made? Is it Bethesda? Was I right about that?
It's Ubisoft.
Oh, yeah, that's what I meant to say.
But I think part of that is, they were originally planning it okay, well, this is when the new consoles are coming out and we want to release it with the consoles. And then they decided, you know what, we're not doing that because we want it to be ready, even if it means we're not going to get the profit of launching it with the consoles.
Yeah, I don't know. There's still things you have to have some kind of foresight about whenever you give a release time frame.
After playing Assassin's Creed 4, my faith is, my faith in...
Reinvigorated in Ubisoft?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be a good moment to transition into the card game that you bought, Slash.
Oh, yeah. Trying to come up with the word.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite parts of PAX East is the tabletop gaming section. They actually have, in the actual expo hall, which takes up probably 2/3 of just this big aircraft hangar size area of the bottom level of the actual building. In the expo hall, they have some tabletop gaming stuff, right? But then in the other third of it, they have a section that's devoted entirely to tabletop gaming. There's a large chunk of that's for Magic the Gathering tournaments. There's another chunk that's devoted to tabletop game vendors demoing their stuff and, having people sit down to try out their games with friends. And one of my favorite things is the tabletop library, where people actually have donated games to PAX East, essentially.
Oh, that's cool.
You can go through, and they have them all alphabetically organized chunks, and you can actually check a game out by giving them a driver's license or something as collateral, and sit down with your friends and play a board game, and then when you're done, you can pack it up, and you give it back to them, and you move on with your day, and you get to experience all this stuff without having to necessarily buy it or try and rent it or whatever,
Yeah, that's really cool.
Because normally, in order to play one of those games, one of your friends has to own the game. And, not necessarily do you feel like buying something unless you've played it a few times, so...
Dude, that's what they need to have. They need to have a red box for tabletop games.
Oh my gosh, what a disaster that would be. Just in the general public.
You have to have a receptacle for each little game piece whenever somebody turns it back in.
Oh, man. But I actually got a demo of a game called Anomia, which when I was first trying to remember the name of it, I thought it was Anomina. Exactly. But that is not what it is called. It's Anomia, which they have defined on the back as, having difficulty coming up with words, essentially. But this is a very simple card game. It's for 3 to 6 players, and it's just, you pick a deck that has a whole bunch of the cards all have different words on them, and which are all categories of things. And they also have some sort of graphical symbol on them. So like a green diamond or a, set of red polka dots or whatever. And so you start out, you play it kind of like War in this regard, where the first person to go takes the top card off the deck, puts it face up in front of them. The next person does the same. And you just go around doing that until 2 people have a matching symbol in front of them. And as soon as that happens, as soon as you notice that happens, those 2 people are now in a face-off. And the first one of them to correctly give an example of the other person's word wins that person's card as a point. So, for example, if, we have a match and the other person has beach, I might yell out Normandy, and then that's an example of a beach. and then I get their card. But once a card comes off their deck and goes into my pile, then another match might happen as a result of that change, and another face-off might occur.
So how do you win? You have to have all the cards, or?
Well, the way that you win is, just real quick, the other gameplay mechanic of it is that throughout the deck, you will occasionally run into a wild card, which gets turned face up next to the deck, and it defines two symbols that normally would not match, now count as a match. Just to add a little bit more madcap craziness to the game. But the game just ends when you go through the entire deck. And then the winner is whoever ended up with the most points in most cards in their win deck, their point deck. So it plays really, I think they say a game takes maybe half an hour to play all the way through. But you can always stop partway through the deck if you need to and just count up the points at that point. So it's a very flexible game in that regard.
So is the game just a deck of cards, or is there anything else to it?
That's all that you need. It's just this deck of cards. Yeah, and they sell two different versions of it. There's one where you can get two different decks so that you can kind of mix it up, that you're not seeing the same categories every time you play. And then there's one big box set that has like 6 different decks that you can choose from one of those.
So how much is it? Just out of
the
curiosity.
2-deck version was $20,
okay.
which was I thought a really good deal.
Yeah.
So that is the one that I picked up. I forget what the big box was. The big box was probably
50
I
or
don't know.
so.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 50 for 6 decks, so you actually got a little bit more bang for your buck that way. But you're obviously paying more. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun in the demo. It was the most successful experience from a vendor's perspective that I had at PAX. I literally walked up. I'm like, "What's this game about?" And they're like, "Well, here I'm about to play it with these other people. You can jump in and I'll explain it to you." We play a couple of hands of this game, and I go, "How much for the 2-deck version?" It was like right out there. And then I just wanted to mention the other demo that I really enjoyed in Snowshoe. I think you would get behind me on this as well. There was a game in the indie section. They have a whole section of the expo hall devoted to independent game developers. They call the Indie Showcase. And one of those indie developers had a game called Throw Trucks with Your Mind.
Oh my gosh. And
the way that it works is it includes I think they're kickstarting it or something, so I don't know if it's freely available yet, but there's hardware that you actually put on that goes across your forehead and then also clips onto your earlobe. And it has a built-in EKG and I guess like pulse meter or something along those lines to gauge both your level of focus and your level of calm. And your focus and your calm directly impact the game because they determine how much energy you have in 2 different categories of telekinetic powers.
That's amazing.
And then instead of switching weapons like you do in a typical first-person shooter where you've got, maybe a machine gun on 4 and you've got a rocket launcher on 7 or whatever, you choose between different telekinetic powers. So you can choose between push or pull or lift or, stop or, freeze in midair. And you don't interact with the other players directly. You're trying to smash them with stuff that's in what looks like a demolition derby arena.
Right.
Just smashed up cars and crates and, all sorts of stuff that you have to manipulate mentally with your mind to smash the other players. And that was just a really neat concept and a neat spin on the typical first-person shooter. And I could actually see the effects of this piece of hardware. Like if I started getting anxious or I started losing focus, I could see the meters next to my hit reticule start decreasing, and I would have to focus in again or take deep breaths to get those meters back up.
See, that's the hardest thing about those kind of games is actually conveying the accuracy of the hardware. Because if it doesn't, if there's any kind of inkling that it doesn't work, you'll get frustrated with it and throw it away.
Exactly. And I was impressed with I did maybe 10 minutes in the game, and it worked exactly as advertised for the whole 10 minutes. So
it's actually made its Kickstarter goal. It's $47,287 out of $40,000.
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Yep.
Very cool. So look for that, because that might actually be something worth looking into. Their
funded
demo was
a
very
month ago.
Impressive. Yep.
Awesome.
So they probably didn't even know it was going to make Kickstarter whenever they scheduled to be at PAX. Because it was
Probably
a month ago
not,
today that they got funding, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to briefly mention a couple of other panels that going in were not panels that were like, oh, we absolutely have to visit that one. But it was kind of just while we were there, we're like, oh, these might be fun to go to. The first one was just to kind of pass the time. We went to a panel that was pitch your game idea in 30 seconds.
That was amazing.
There were 3 judges essentially, and anyone could get up from the audience and go up to the microphone, and they had 30 seconds to tell about some game they came up with.
That's terrifying.
And then the judges would say, yes, we want to talk to you more about this, or they'd be like, no, that's a terrible idea, sit back down. And so going in, they said two things. They said, one, do not pitch the game that you actually like have been dreaming about making, because we will shoot it down. Most of the actually like really good games do tend to have a very generic
backstory type thing.
Yeah.
Summary, whatever.
So they said, what we want is some crazy game, something with a twist that we've never seen before, with a punchline title, something that really is really funny and really sells it. Personally, my favorite title was the guy described, it's a stealth game, takes place on Easter. You are a marshmallow, and you have to rescue like
all of the other Easter basket candy.
Yeah. But if a human comes into the room, you have to hide and just be quiet. And the title for his game was Not a Peep.
So it's like Easter version of Prop Hunt, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit like that. And it was just a hilarious concept. One of my favorite moments in that panel was as they were outlining their expectations. They said, don't. Make sure that it's got a good title, because we hate when we get people that go up and they, describe a great concept for a game, and then we ask them what it's called, and they're like, Fantasy Lord Saga, and it's like, that's like, it sounds so lame with that title. Well, one person gets up at one point and is like, my game is Fantasy Lord Saga. And they're like, go sit down. They're like, no, wait. I think there's been a miscommunication. You have to sail on a sea of orange soda. A fantasy. And so they're like, okay, we get where you're going with that.
Yeah.
But
Now continue towards your seat.
Yeah.
But that was honestly the best part of it. Wasn't that, like, you weren't getting things that necessarily sounded like games you would actually want to play. It was just amazing, the crazy puns and things that people could come up with, or just like the most ridiculous games. Like, there was one guy who had it was like supposed to be a dating sim, but like you were a drug dealer and then you went to prison, and then in prison you became a bodybuilder, and then it became like a fighting game, and it was like the most
It was like, let me mash up every genre of video game that has ever existed into one video game. Seemed to be the premise he was trying to get across.
All right, I hate to do this, but let's go ahead and sum this section up. I have 2 questions for both of you.
Fire away.
All right. Number 1, in a couple of words, what was the best thing at PAX?
High-res Kayla.
Okay, yeah, I saw that you got a picture with her.
Yeah, I got to talk to her for about 20 minutes. She is a 2D artist.
She does all the Smite drawings, right?
She does, well, not all of them. She does a lot of the user interface for Smite.
As for me, I would say Acquisitions Incorporated had to have been my favorite part of it. I enjoyed meeting the Mindcrackers. I was especially happy to get a picture with Ziso, but I think in terms of what entertained me the most about PAX weekend had to have been the Acquisitions Incorporated show. Absolutely.
Yeah, I will say that was definitely probably the best thing I saw on Twitch all weekend. Okay, last question. What would you do differently if you could? Like, what would you add or subtract or make sure you go to that you didn't get to go to?
I usually spend more time in the tabletop area than I did this time. So my intent is the next time I go, I'm going to try to spend a little bit more time in tabletop again.
For me, it would be to give myself more time for things in the expo hall. Not that I didn't spend a ton of time in there, but it was more, I kind of just wandered a big chunk of the time, and I wanted to kind of try and see everything, and by doing that, I didn't really get a good look at some of the stuff. Like I said, I would have loved to see the Borderlands preview, and there were also several games that probably would have been really cool to try, and I just I was like, I don't feel like waiting in line because there's so much more to see. And I just went through a lot of it too quick. And then by the last day, I'm like, well, I don't even have enough time to stand in line for some of the stuff that I would like to do. So
yeah, it seems like you kind of got to pick and choose the certain things that you want to fully see instead of trying to see everything.
Yeah.
Well, very good. I think that kind of sums up pretty much everything as far as PAX goes. We've run out of time talking about that. I want to mention a couple news items. Like Drew said, PAX South, that's going to be awesome. I wanted to mention that. And then I wanted to mention Super Smash Bros. There's a lot of new news. Yeah, that's a thing. New news on Super Smash Bros. We have some new characters that we hadn't talked about before. So there's Green Ninja. You guys don't play Pokemon, do you?
I don't know.
Wait, what is it?
Green Ninja? Gre Ninja?
I don't know that specific character. I follow Pokemon Rob, so I watch his Let's Plays, but if it's from like a generation he hasn't played or whatever, then...
Yeah, it may be. I know it's a Pokemon because it's got a little Pokemon next to it. But anyway, so that's one of the characters. They've got Little Mac coming from, what is it, Punch-Out? Is that the name of the... Is that right? Punch-Out? I think that's right.
The old school boxing game?
Yeah.
Okay.
And his character looks really, really cool. You can go to smashbros.com and check all these out. And then they have Rosalina and Luma from Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2, which are two of my all-time favorite games, if you guys have not played those.
I played the first one. I haven't played the sequel.
They're both fantastic. Probably the best games that have been made for the Wii, in my opinion.
I would concur.
And then there's Villager from, what did we say, Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's some hilarious memes if you guys want to look those up. We looked those up before the podcast. Some of them are inappropriate, so be warned. Just
all pretty disturbing.
Yeah, all very disturbing. The generic villager with the smile on his face as he beats the crap out of you type thing.
Animal Crossing has always freaked me out anyway, just in general. So it's
kind of a creepy game.
This does not go very far to dispelling my Animal Crossing related nightmares.
And then there's Mega Man, the classic. That's going to be awesome to see him Super Smash Bros.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably the most intriguing and final one that I have here is the Wii Fit Trainer is going to be a character in Super Smash Bros. So you're going to get to like kick people with the tree pose in yoga or do a push-up or something. It's going to be intense, but...
Wow.
Do a push-up.
Say what?
You're like, or do a push-up, and I'm just like, yeah, because that's what everyone wants to do in a fighting game.
I'm sure you're going to be able to do a push-up and hit somebody with it somehow.
Yeah.
And then, Charizard's also going to be there. He wasn't actually a playable character, I don't think.
Right, Pokemon Trainer was in the previous one, and Charizard was one of the Pokemon you could throw out.
Right, but Charizard himself is going to be one, and then Yoshi, I don't know why Yoshi says that he's a new character, because he's been in all of them. I don't know, I was trying to figure out, I couldn't figure it out. Sheikah's going to be her own character, and then Zero Suit Samus is going to be her own character.
Oh, okay.
So, and then I don't see actual Samus on here. I don't know. It's got to be on here, right?
There were pictures in the
there it is.
with the villager beating Samus to death.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. Samus is on there. Link, Kirby, Fox, Pikachu, Bowser, Pit, and then lots of and Mario, and all the basic guys. And Marth is there. No Ike. Wait, Marth was he in the last one?
Yeah. So Marth was in Melee and Brawl.
Brawl.
Roy was in Melee, and then Ike was in
anything
Brawl.
else. Right. So. No Ike on this one, which is sad because Ike was so powerful in the last one. He was awesome. Second best game that came out for the Wii, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. I guess I'll go ahead and move on to my next news story because you guys can look all that stuff up. Spin forever on supersmashbros.com. And then GOG.com is having a sale on battle games. So right now you can get Heroes, Heroes 2, Heroes 3, Blackguards, The Witcher, and The Witcher 2, all for under $4. 80% off or so. And then you vote for it's like the Steam sale, but right now they're on battle games. So check it out. It's going to have some really good stuff, especially when the podcast comes out. This is day 1, so it'll be day 3 when the podcast comes out. And I think it's a week-long sale probably. So you can get some good stuff for cheap, I'm sure. And that's all I've got for news. I want to keep it short this week.
At PAX East, they had convention-specific skin codes for Smite, for the character of Guan Yu, and so those are exclusive. You can only get them with that one code, and so if anyone is interested in having a skin code, message us and we will see what we can do.
We will disperse accordingly depending on how many people we get.
Yep.
Yes. And I got a few for me and my friends originally, And then while I was talking to Kayla, she was like, "Did you get some?" And I said yes. And she was like, "Here, have a bunch more." So
yeah, that'd be cool. And then if we had too many people wanting them, we could probably do some kind of contest or something. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Cool. All right, well, I think we're going to go into listener questions at this point to wrap up the podcast.
Can I read them?
Yes, you can.
Yay! Okay, I think I've heard this one before. But Super Thunder.
Yes,
So what?
It's a little bit different.
it's not quite the same as the original.
It really isn't, actually. I just realized that. Super Thunder asks, if you were hot dogs and you were super hungry, who would get eaten first? It's similar to Rex's question. Well, it seems like a question Rex would ask.
It does seem like a question Rex would ask.
Which should concern you, Slash.
Who of our group, who would get eaten first?
I feel like Snow and I would team up and eat Drew.
Yeah, I think that's honestly just what would happen. I'm sorry, Drew.
Yeah, I would have answered faster, actually, but I didn't want to admit it.
I see how it is.
It's not like you have a choice. We would team up against you. And
yeah.
I'm sorry, man. But we don't have to answer who's going to get eaten second.
Nope. So we'll move right along.
And then Rapunzel asks us, well, just a general statement. I want chocolate.
Yes. In case you're confused, dear listener, Super Thunder is my 6-year-old son, and Rapunzel is my 3-year-old daughter. So they wanted to submit questions to the podcast this week, and that's what we got.
And then Orlando wanted to know about PAX, which we have discussed.
We may have touched on that a little bit already,
yeah,
so we'll just move on.
All right, moving on to question letter B. Sub-question I. Hi, guys. Drew got me hooked on Quiz Up, and I've heard Snow talk about it in the podcast, so here's a question for each of you. What is your favorite Quiz Up topic?
This is from Sarah JMCB.
Oh, I didn't say that. I'm sorry,
you
Sarah
didn't.
JMCB.
But I got your back.
Yeah, he did.
I go back and forth on Quiz Up. I like just general science. I will also spend time on space, specifically. And every once in a while, I'll also pop over to Minecraft. But those are my top 3.
See, I will say the thing about Quiz Up and being able to play it with friends is that they have those certain topics that they're good at, and they'll challenge you in them, and I'm terrible at them. Like, when I play with my girlfriend, she'll challenge me in Harry Potter, and I have no chance at all. So I find that kind of interesting. It's almost better to play with random people at times, because someone will just beat the crap out of you, because, I mean, I don't know anything about German. How am I going to...
Right. You know, I kind of wish there was a way to... like, if I was going to do a challenge on a friend, I wish I could be like, topic is random. You know, just pick a topic for both of us,
that'd be cool.
And we don't know going into it what the topic is.
Now, I will say that Daughter, this is going to go into my answer, Daughter knows a few of the people that work for QuizUp because it's a company based in Iceland.
Right.
And one of the people tweeted her and said, hey, try this new topic. And so Daughter challenged me in it, and it was called General Nonsense. Mm-hmm. And it was like, there was no way to figure out the answer to the questions. It was like, what color is walrus? And you just answer it. And I think I got like, out of the 6 questions, I think I got like 5 of them right in almost perfect time. It was amazing. And I barely beat her too. It was a heated duel. But that was pretty funny. If you haven't looked it up, look up General Nonsense. But aside from that, I do the best in, I think it's called logos or corporate logos or something. I don't know. I'm really good at the logos.
What about you, Drew? You play much Quiz Up?
I have not gotten to play in a while, even though I do love the game. When I was originally first playing, I pretty much only played topics that I knew, like Minecraft. One of my favorite topics, though, probably was Top Gear, because I've seen pretty much every episode of Top Gear, but it's been so long since I watched many of them that I don't necessarily remember the details. So there will often be a question. It's like in the something episode, like let's just say in the Bulgaria episode, so it's the episode where they drove through Bulgaria.
Right.
This, like, let's just say James did such and such a thing. What type of car was it, or something? And it just, like, even though I don't know the answers half the time, it just brings back great memories. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, and
it triggers nostalgia, and you get to relive all the episodes and everything.
Right.
So I love the Top Gear topic.
Well, thank you, Sarah JMCB, for your question. We appreciate it. Next question, letter C. This comes from Six Gun Joe. Six Gun Joe writes, what is the coolest vehicle you and Slash saw? I'm talking to you, Drew. What is the coolest vehicle you and Slash saw on your way to PAX?
On the way to PAX, nothing jumps out
Wasn't it dark or no?
No, it wasn't. Well, we did a significant amount of the drive up. It was dark. But the one thing that jumps out on the way up was we were laughing about the
X bus.
Oh, that's right. There was the X bus. I forgot all about the X bus.
It was a school bus, but school had been X'd out
with yellow electrician's tape.
Oh, that's kind of terrifying.
And it made it look like it was X bus.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't a school bus anymore. It was just a bus. But we're calling it the X bus. And then on the way back, I don't know what type it was, but we saw a yellow convertible Lamborghini.
Yeah, that looked pretty sweet.
I never bothered to learn all the different types of Lamborghini, so I don't know if it was a Gallardo or a
Murcielago.
Yeah. I have no idea.
Those are totally names for Lamborghinis that I know intimately.
I believe you. You sound convincing.
Countach.
I said it so convincingly.
Now, I did quite a bit of driving this weekend, so I'll answer my own to this question. And it wasn't to PAX, obviously, but I did see a Tesla on my way back home and a Maserati on my way.
Nice.
Well,
that's pretty cool.
I have two homes, basically. My home and my parents' home. On the way to my parents' home, I saw a Tesla, and on the way back, I saw a Maserati.
That's cool.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of Dem Guys podcast. We want to thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed our PAX discussion, since that was the focus. And if you have any questions, we already gave you the email address, but please submit them. We really enjoy answering those. And until next time, we hope you have a good day.
See you next year.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.